All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, going way back in time to the 12th century.
Oh, exciting. What are we looking at?
The Mongols, yeah, their military, I mean. How they became so powerful and dominated, like, everyone.
Yeah, the Mongols, right? They were known for being pretty fierce warriors, but
That's exactly what I want to unpack. Is that all it was, or is there something more, some secret sauce?
well, it definitely wasn't just about being, tough guys on horseback.
Right. So that's what we're going to look at. How did they build this massive empire and win all the time?
And when they were often outnumbered, it's pretty mind-blowing the more you look into it.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk Mongols, we got to talk Genghis Khan, right? He's like the ultimate Mongol warlord.
Absolutely. I mean, he comes onto the scene in the early 1200s and bam unifies all these warring Mongol
So
tribes.
he's like the OG unifier, pulling them all together.
Totally. And he forges them into this like super disciplined, powerful army.
And then they just like take over everything, right?
Basically, yeah, they sweep across Asia into Europe, just gobbling up territory.
Creating the biggest land empire like ever.
In history, yeah.
It's insane.
But how? Like, I get they were good fighters, but they were often outnumbered, right?
Yeah, they had these tactical advantages that honestly sometimes sound surprising.
Okay, like what? Spilled the tea.
Well, for example, get this. They wore silk shirts into battle.
Silk shirts. Wait, what? Seriously, like not metal armor.
No, silk. And you're probably thinking, silk, really? On a battlefield?
That's what I'm thinking. Sounds kind of flimsy, to be honest.
Well, hear me out. It was all about mobility and endurance. You see, the silk, while it did offer some protection, was way lighter than the heavy armor European knights would wear.
Okay, I can see that. Like less weight, easier to move around, less tiring, right?
Exactly. And for a cavalry-based army, that speed and agility, being able to outmaneuver your opponent, was key.
I bet. And didn't they also use this tactic, I forget what it's called, where they pretend to run away? Oh yeah, the feigned retreat. Classic Mongol move. They'd act like they were fleeing, luring the enemy
And
in.
then, bam, turn around and attack.
Right. Those heavy armored knights chasing after them would be exhausted, totally vulnerable.
It's like playing possum, but on a battlefield.
Haha, yeah. Totally outsmarting the enemy, not just overpowering them.
And on top of that, you can't forget Genghis Khan's reputation. He was like this legendary figure, right?
Oh, he was a master of psychological warfare. Word of his brutality, often way exaggerated, would spread ahead of his army.
Like pre-battle trash talk,
Yep.
but way more intense.
It was straight up terror tactics, sowing fear, demoralizing enemies before they even saw a Mongol warrior.
Making them easier to conquer, right?
Absolutely. A psychological edge is huge in warfare, and Genghis Khan knew how to wield it.
So they're nimble, they're playing mind games. Weren't they also known for using cutting-edge tech?
They were seriously ahead of their time. Like, for instance, they adopted Chinese siege weapons, those massive things.
But how would they move those giants around?
They'd take them apart, transport the pieces on horseback, then put them back together at the siege. Talk about logistics.
That's crazy. They must have had some serious engineering skills to pull that off.
And they were quick to adopt gunpowder, too, inspired by Chinese fireworks.
So they were early adopters of that technology.
Yeah, and they used it to develop brass cannons, a total game changer in warfare back then.
Wow. And wasn't there something about them using Greek fire, was it? Sounds terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. It was this highly flammable liquid. They'd launch it from those big trebuchet things.
Imagine a whole city going up in flames like that.
Yeah,
It's been pure chaos.
total psychological warfare, too, right? Seeing your city burn like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so we've talked about how effective they were in battle, but what about logistics? How did they keep those massive campaigns going across such huge distances?
That's another key to their success. Logistical mastery. Unlike other armies that relied on these slow, bulky supply lines.
The Mongols traveled light, right?
Yeah, they lived off the land, foraged, hunted, and stuff. Super adaptable, unlike their enemies with their heavy baggage trains.
It almost sounds like a modern military doctrine. Centuries ahead of their time.
It really does. And this efficiency extended to their intelligence gathering, too. They had this vast network of spies and scouts.
Like a whole secret agent operation going on.
Totally. Gathering intel on everything. Enemy positions, the terrain, even the local politics. They were on top of it.
And this intel allowed them to plan their attacks with like pinpoint accuracy.
Precisely. This level of intelligence gathering wasn't really seen again until, like, centuries later.
Wow. But, we can't ignore the darker side of their tactics. They had a reputation for being pretty ruthless.
Yeah, sadly, that's true. They were known for this one tactic, the Karash. Pretty disturbing stuff.
The Karash. Was that?
Well, they would force captured populations, civilians, to march in front of their army.
Oh, no. You mean like human shields?
Sadly, yes. Imagine the defenders, forced to choose between attacking and harming their own people.
Or letting the Mongols advance? Awful.
Just a truly horrifying dilemma, a stark reminder of the brutal realities of war back then.
And even after a victory, the Mongols didn't exactly just, pack up and go home.
Right. They wouldn't just be content with winning a battle. They would relentlessly hunt down enemy leaders.
No mercy, huh?
Nope. They'd eliminate any chance of future resistance, crush any hope of a comeback.
So when we talk about Mongol military dominance, it's way more complex than just being tough warriors, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was a whole package. Their smart use of tech, their amazing strategies and logistics, and sadly, their ruthlessness, too.
They were a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about it. They really did change the world, huh?
And, thinking about their innovations and tactics, it makes you wonder, how much did they actually influence later military thinkers?
Yeah, how much of what they did is still echoing in modern warfare? That's a great question to ponder.
Food for thought, right. The Mongols, more than just fierce warriors, left a legacy that's worth exploring.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the Mongol military machine.
Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating deep dive.